Hello and welcome to HillTV. I'm Dea Cassie, here with Hill Headlines. As we made our way back to Hill, after 2 weeks away, we were welcomed with a deep freeze. While we reacquainted with friends and dorm mates, the Pennsylvania winds finally began to prepare for the heart of winter. And on our first day of classes in 2015, we were greeted with a snowstorm. Did it surprise you guys that there was actually a winter day that forced you to break out your winter jackets? Okay, our temperatures were not like New Hampshire's Mount Washington, where they dropped 40 below. However, they did drop down into the single digits. Also, in our Hill headlines, Mr. Lehman announced that one of Hill's most prized treasures will be hitting the road. The N.C. Wyeth art pieces that you dine with every day are soon to be part of an exhibition at Heritage Museum and Gardens in Sandwich, Massachusetts, from June 6th to September 27th. Make sure to get a good look at them now, because the dining hall will seem a little empty without them when we come back from spring break. In sports, Hill boys have a highly anticipated squash match coming up that will take place in Street Squash in Harlem. This one could move them up to Division III or II in the high school national championships. It's also a special match because Miss Odell will be playing against her old coach from Exeter. After the match, the Hill boys will be volunteering at a street squash practice with younger boys, and then they'll head over to an alumni match and dinner with former squash athletes from Hill. If you were around in December, you will remember that the sporting event to watch was the Hill Relays, where a swim record that endured for decades was shattered. Charlie Prelitz has the story.
With cheers heard throughout the gym, Hill Swimming celebrated the breaking of a record posted on this wall for 35 years. The 200 freestyle relay time of just over 1 minute 25 seconds fell by a quarter of a second, thanks to 6th former Sturge Dicos, 5th formers Ryan Owens and Chris Chavone, and 4th former Alberto Mestre. At least one person wasn't surprised at all: aquatics director Mr. Jay Spencer.
Actually, that was my hope. I was planning on it, and obviously all I can do is set it up, and the guys had to do the work. But it was my expectation, and I had told a couple of people that we might do it.
Coach Spencer knows the original record holders and actually phoned one member before the record went down.
So I called him the week before, and I said, "Hey, Greg, I think this weekend might be the weekend for your record." And he said, "All right, tell the boys it's about time."
As for the record breakers, the experience is one they won't forget anytime soon.
It was kind of surreal at first. Like when I finished, I didn't even know that we broke it until they were all screaming at me. So, I mean, it was a great feeling.
The new time will not be posted on the record board until the end of the season, which is probably a good thing.
There's two reasons. One, we basically wait until the end of the season because somebody has to get in here with a scaffold and do all that kind of stuff. But in this particular case, they're going to break it again. So we don't want to just keep updating it every week.
Now, that was like, I feel like that was our end of the season goal as a relay team. But, I mean, getting it out of the way early in the season, you know, it was nice. But we're going to break it again at the end of the season.
And this talented group of swimmers has an eye on yet another record. Looks like the 400 free relay could be in serious jeopardy. Charlie for HillTV.
What's interesting about the record is that Alberto Mestre would beat his father's old time. Maybe you've noticed the framed photo of the 1973 fire outside the 3rd floor of the library. Well, we wanted to know more about what happened that day. During our time digging in Hill's archives, we unearthed pictures that captured the memories of a Hill teacher who was a student at that time. Here's Sam Brush with more.
It's like knowing where you were when Kennedy was shot. If you were at Hill that day, you know where you were and when you found out about the fire.
As a 5th former, Mr. Reed and his classmates began November 30th, 1973, like any other day at Hill. But what they witnessed that day turned out to be one of Hill's darkest moments. Due to faulty wiring, the oldest building on campus, the Meggs House, dating back to 1793, was lost. Mr. Willis Pierre was a faculty member.
The fire started in the original Meggs House that had 4 stories, and then spread going eastward through the 2 stories over the dining room. And then there was 4 stories on the east end of the building over what is now the kitchen.
It was 4th period, and I was in English class, and Mr. Borger was the teacher, and the classrooms were then on the 1st floor of upper school. And we were in the middle of talking about the Canterbury Tales or something like that, and we heard a siren down below, on the road down below us. We were on the far side, on the west side of upper school. And it was highly unusual to hear a siren down there. So he stopped and looked around a minute, and then he kept going, and about 5 seconds later, we heard another one. And he said to me, to us, I think we better go outside. I think we better stop class.
Despite dozens of firefighters responding, nothing could be done to stop the fire from destroying the historical landmark. All that remained was a chimney. Everyone who watched felt helpless.
There was a mass of people in between the chapel and what's now the academic building, but what was then known as middle school. And so I just walked over to where they were standing, and the Meggs house was engulfed in flames. It was an inferno. It was a terrifying moment, unbelievable. And nobody knew what to do. I mean, we stood there and watched.
Thankfully, the dining hall didn't burn. It only suffered water damage. Still, it couldn't be used for the rest of winter term.
The good news was the food was so bad here that it couldn't get worse, right? You could cook food in a remote nursing home kitchen and you didn't damage the food.
And nothing damaged the will of the school in moving forward. Only 1 day of classes was missed, a source of pride for all involved.
Mr. Watson, headmaster, felt it was very important that the school should continue as usual. And the next day, classes ran as usual.
And that was sort of the moment that we realized everything was going to be okay.
What do you want to change in 2015? Here's what some of you had to say. What's your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution is to drink less coffee.
My New Year's resolution is no more demerits.
My New Year's resolution is to spend more time with my awesome prefects.
My New Year's resolution is to get my rap career off the ground.
To spend less money on food, especially at the Grow.
My 2015 resolution is to spend more time with my family.
My New Year's resolution is to be less stressed.
Hello, my New Year's resolution is I'm going to walk around campus more.
What's your New Year's resolution?
Take shorter showers, maybe.
My New Year's resolution is to overall and generally be a happier person. Woohoo, yeah.
That's it for this edition of HillTV. I'm Daya Cassie. See you again next time.